For example, let's take a thriller sequence. In a thriller sequence, there will be at least one threat of death. This will result in an actual death of a character or near death of a character, like your main character. The tension will build, culminate, and finally release. No one was better at building thrillers than this man of the famous silhouette, Alfred Hitchcock. In the other genres, a romance sequence will feature at least one romantic moment between the two leads. A horror sequence will feature one kill. An adventure sequence will feature a set piece or action scene. A comedy will feature a big gag. A sci-fi fantasy script will feature one marvelous revelation. We'll return to discussing sequences more in depth in part 4 of our tutorial. The star role, the Protagonisto. Most important of all the structural elements is the star role. If it's a male, we'll call him the Protagonisto. You design the main character to show off the star actor. You show the character doing stupendous things, making virtuous choices. He can be conflicted, but he does the right thing. Things don't work out, but the character is resourceful. The more creative the star role, the more appealing it will be to a star actor. Stars are stars because they seem on the surface like superhuman in some way anyway. That's why they get the best lines, the best ideas, and do the best actions. There will also be one flaw. The more flaws, the farther from a star vehicle the role deviates. Tom Cruise's charisma hinges on the fact he seems he could accomplish the impossible. He's even got a franchise built around that explicit charisma, doesn't he? Good for Tom. If the star role is a female role, we'll call it the Protagonista. This role will feature all of the above characteristics for the protagonist and supersede men in some capacity and be desirable. The Protagonista will either be a Madonna, a mother figure, literally or figuratively, fighting for her family, or an ingenue, a young girl learning to be a woman, whatever that means for your story. Next, we have the antagonist, the big bad. This role hinges largely on genre again. The villain can be smiling or scowling. The villain will have a quirk, a defect of personality representative of his or her generalized spiritual deviancy. The more clearly defined the hero's objectives, the more clearly defined the villain's objectives can be. A villain should be on the offense and one step ahead of the hero at most every turn. This keeps the story moving. If your hero ever seems victorious, the tension and forward momentum of the story experience basically stops. You'll want to save this for the false resolution sequence 7, if then, but we'll get to that. Regardless, the size of the villain's power must be, or at least seem, larger or superior to the hero's. The villain must be tactically superior. The villain's resources or creativity are going to, in some way, put the hero seriously on the ropes. For example, in The Dark Knight, the Joker is far more intelligent than Batman, Harvey Dent, and James Gordon combined. Between Batman's gadgets, detecting, and physicality, Dent's mastery of the court system, and Gordon's command of the cops, Joker still triumphs, until the end, at every juncture based on his devious ingenuity. Another essential element of your script will be the supporting cast. These are drawn from time-tested archetypes, and each is defined in relation to the protagonist. Examples are the mentor boss, the mother or father, the love interest, the best friend, the sidekick, or the shadow competitor. At least one will be comic relief, have the funny lines, do funny things, but never to the point of undermining the star role, though the star role can play the straight within the same scene. Each supporting character will reveal a different aspect of the protagonist's personality, for good or for ill, and each will contribute something necessary to the plot, a technical expertise, for instance, that the lead does not possess, which is necessary for accomplishing story work. All right, now it's time for part 3, for us to explore mythological and theatrical foundations. We can't really talk about story structure without reference to the godfather of drama, Aristotle, author of Poetics. Within Poetics, Aristotle defines a story as occurring over 3 acts, beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, he came up with that. And the primary mechanism for constructing drama is reversal, recognition, and acceptance. This definitely belongs in your library, your writer's library, right next to the Screenwriter's Bible.